Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, headed to my therapy session. It's at 2 o'clock. It's like 12:20 something right now. So I should be cool to get there comfortably. Shouldn't be no issues getting there on time at 2 o'clock. But yeah, man, I feel pretty good. I got some art done yesterday. I stayed home. I decided after doing a lot of meditation that I wanted to just stay home. I woke up with a lot of energy. I felt 100% better than I did the day before when I was walking around to try to feel better. Next morning, I got up, jumped up, did exercise like crazy, added another squat rep to my regimen, and I just felt really good physically. But after I got out the shower, the idea for me was, kind of just take the day to work on a playlist since I hadn't ciphered through any of the music. Came out last Thursday. I wasn't sure I was going to find anything, but I ended up spending a little more time on it than I wanted to. And so by the time it was done, it was like 3 o'clock. And I meditated a little bit and just rolled over and went to sleep. Took the day to rest because I know I got a lot to do over the next 4 days, including this right here. So that's what I did. I took the day. I didn't even do my hunters yesterday. I just left it at rest. Got up and listened to the playlist. It was really good. The Lee CD 379. It's more or less an R&B CD. I like it a lot. And did the art for that. Did about 9 pieces while listening to it. And that was it. That was my day, man. I slept a whole lot yesterday. But worked on the playlist. I was trying to find this song. It took almost 35 minutes and I still didn't find it. So that kind of ate into my time that ultimately I wanted to use to do the work, to do that playlist. But, it ultimately came out good, man. So I encourage everybody to go check BDF at Apple Music and BDF, however they list it over there. But, yeah, man, that was it. It was funny because I had so much energy yesterday. I thought I was going to want to get out, move around. But then I was like, you know what? I ain't going to have no time to work on a playlist for this particular week if I don't do it today, is what I was thinking yesterday. It just wasn't going to happen. So for me, it was like, all right, let me just take the time today and just siphon and see what's in there. And if I get out of here in time, if I finish up in time, move on. But once I started getting through some of that music, started realizing a lot of it sounded like it could fit in a cohesive playlist. It was like, all right, let me just take time to arrange it and just get it done. So no regrets on that. Very glad I made it. Didn't love the artwork, to be honest with you. There's a little too much going on that CD. I've done better, but the music itself is good. The music is really good. So yeah, man. Woke up this morning and of course continued my normal routine. And after I finished all that, ate, and I decided I had about 30 minutes to work on a particular 1 or 2 pieces of art. So I did one piece, and that was it. I'm taking longer on each piece that I'm doing. And usually I just scribbled through it and did like 15 in a day. Not the same amount of time that it take to do 15 back in the day. I'm spending like more time doing detail on each piece. So it's like I can get maybe 5 pieces done these days in that amount of time rather than pushing out like 15 in that amount of time. So I think the detail work that I'm trying to put into each piece is starting to become a little more full. And I just think I'm ultimately getting a lot better, a lot smarter as an artist. Come up with detail and stuff like that. It's just making for better pieces. So that's really what I've seen is progress. Lots of progress in my pieces. Lots of progress in what it is that I'm doing. And just continuing to love it. That's really what it is. I've gotten myself out of that funk I was in about 4 months ago where I didn't want to do any art at all. And now, you got to pry me away from it. I bought so many colors over the last 2 weeks. I got about everything they had at Target is in regards to permanent markers, color permanent marker. I bought almost all of them. The only ones I didn't buy were the skin tones, and that's because I really don't draw people at all, so I don't have as much of a need for skin tones. But every other variation that they had, multiple different colors. I bought them all, and I got some others as well, so that makes it even more fun for me because I have more variety of colors from which to use. So that made me better equipped to make good pieces and stuff like that. So that's really what it's about, man. Just getting back into my art routine and making a lot of pieces. I don't know how I'm gonna store all this paper though. That's gonna be the thing. As I bought 500 sheet of printer paper is what I always buy, and I was carrying around one set of that, ran through that, and now I'm halfway through the 500 sheet that I just purchased about 2 months ago. So it's like, at some point in time, I'm gonna have to find somewhere to put all this, or accept the fact that some of it's gonna have to be thrown away. Maybe I give it to my boy T to put in the storage. I don't know if he still wants to continue storing my crap like that, but you know, it's gonna become a thing where I have a little too much to carry around in terms of art piece paper. It's a little too much, but you know, it is what it is, man. Just trying to get better. Trying to get better. I saw a meme that kind of speaks to what it is that I've been doing. It's find something you're not good at and work on it obsessively. See, don't yourself get better. Improve upon what it is that's a weakness of yours. And for me, that was always visual art and drawing. I ain't never been any good at that. But now I found something that works for me. And if you look at what I have stored up, I got 8,200 pieces, like 8,200 pieces done. So, and a good portion of them are reasonable, especially the latest ones. So I think I've made a jump in terms of my progression and improvement over the last 2 months. The pieces that I started making when I broke that 4-month layover have been better than any of the pieces I made before. I think, well, to a degree, I think I've been making more quality pieces lately. So that's really what it's about, man. Just enjoying that progress, enjoying the journey. And so I encourage everybody to go check me out on Deviant Art, because that's where I have a lot of my stuff posted. BDF 44 at Deviant Art, and BDF 44 at Pixiv, Pixiv, I believe it is. It's Pix. And check out what I've been doing, man, because it's a lot. It's a whole lot of pieces there, and I've been doing it with a certain level of obsession, more or less, trying to get good at it over the last 3 years, man. Really getting to a space where my confidence is up, and I feel like I can make a really good piece at any given moment these days. So that's a far cry from when I started, where, to be honest with you, it was hard to make a good piece. I didn't have a whole lot of control over what I was doing as it pertains to each and every stroke. Didn't have necessarily any meaning. I was just scribbling, and it would come of something early on. And I remember telling myself, like, I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna have so much more control over what's happening here. I'm gonna get to a point where each and every stroke is gonna have some purpose, and I'm gonna be able to know the difference between when I'm doing too much or too little. And that's what all these repetitions are about, to get to that point. And so I think I'm closer to that than ever now. I really do, and some of the pieces that I've made have proven that to myself. So that's what it is, man. Just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and encourage everybody to work on something that you don't feel you're any good at, man. Give yourself a chance to see improvement in some weak areas, because that's really what it comes down to. You get to a point where you don't think you're any good at something, you don't try, and that's the biggest mistake you can make in life, especially if it's something you're curious about. I ain't saying quit your day job to do something that you know good at, but if you do anything enough times, you're gonna improve, and that's what this has taught me. So, I know I do more pieces than a lot of people, but that's because, as I said, there ain't a whole lot of detail on some of them earlier pieces. A couple scribbles, put my emblem on it, and walk away. But just finding more passion in detail nowadays, more control over detail, and as a result, the pieces they look so much better, of course. So yeah, man, that's what I'm saying to all of you guys, man. Give yourself a chance. If you love art, if you love music or something like that, same thing with playlist work or any type of thing you do, man. Anything you really want to get good at, just do it a bunch of times. And don't relent. Don't relent. Don't let up on your repetition. Don't let up on your focus. Come back the next day, and do it again. I see that in my life every day. And I just remember my mother saying, repetition is key, repetition is key. All the time she used to tell me that. And I always knew that whatever I wanted to put together, whatever I wanted to build, it was going to be through that understanding that I had to keep coming back to get it done. And so now I apply that to a lot of different things that I do, from the exercise that I do, to the art, to the playlist work, to doing these videos. Everything has that ideal in mind that you have to do it a million times, more or less, to get as good as you want to get. And you know, some days gonna be better than others, but if you build, you will see that progress. And as you build, some of what needed to be worked through ultimately does get worked through in its own time. So, and it comes to push-ups, squat regimen, everything I do is just so many damn reps, and it's because I added to it as comfortably as I felt I wanted to. But I did intend to add at all times. So it's like now I got to a point where I'm doing 98 reps of my suitcase squats, 6 sets. Get that done. Don't take but like 25 minutes. You know, the push-ups is like 109. I just work my way up to each time I get down. So it's like, these are things you just keep doing. When you do my 100 sets, I started with only 2 sets of 4, and I've worked my way all the way up through 100 reps, 2 sets, and all these other different variations that turn it into so many different squats that I'm doing over a course of an hour and 10 minutes or so. It's like, you start small, but you add. And as you build, you see the results of your repetition get you where you want to go. And so that's what I want to tell anybody, man. Don't think that you can't do it, because I was the guy with the softest chest and no muscle on his body at all, and could barely do 2 push-ups when I started. And so where I'm headed is so much greater than where I'm at, but where I've gotten is a goal for somebody else. So that's what I'm encouraging everybody to do, man. And even now, I got a long way to go with my push-ups. Even now, I don't see my physique looking like I want it to look at all. In fact, it looks more like it did when I was unhappy now than it did several months ago when I wasn't doing as many reps, because at the end of the day, the chest gets bigger. So that's what it was. It was man boobs that made it look like I was stronger than I was, but there wasn't any muscle mass in that attached to it. So now it's muscle mass, but it looks the same as it did in the past. So it's kind of confusing to me. I look in the mirror and I don't see nothing that looks any good, but I know I'm putting in the work. I know I'm many times stronger, and that's really what it's about. It's about having that muscle mass and the ability to continue to build from here. So I'm telling people, man, just keep moving, keep doing what it is you need to do. Keep building the stem, which is the mind's intentions and the resilience necessary to be consistent. That's where we all need to get better. And that's only going to come from the initial process of starting and grueling through the inconsistencies of our minds in that process of the beginning stages. You know, I don't want to do it today. It's so hard to overcome oneself. But the more you do what it is that you do, you will look up several however longs down the road, and it'll be much easier to overcome that for which makes you lazy, because you will have then forced your way through it so many times to, on the tough days, you will have the resilience to overcome the toughest way forward for whatever it is you're doing. So that's what it's about. Tough doesn't seem as tough when you face tough as much as you need to get tough. You understand what I'm saying? To become as strong and resilient, as resistant to that weakness as possible. So that's what you want to do. Build that and be comfortable with the road to where you want to go, because you can have setbacks, you can have some tough days, you can have some days where you really don't have it, but at the end of the day, you just keep coming back, man. You may have setbacks, you know what I mean, to where maybe you get injured or something and now you have to start all over, but the muscle memory is there. The STEM's memory of what it takes to be resilient and consistent is now established once you have it, and you can use that and apply it to other things as you get good at what it is you're working on. So that's what I want to tell people, man. I don't know what the Lord wants me to work on from here, but the intention to overcome one's own weaknesses and the intention to be consistent is what it is that I'm ultimately fighting against every day. So I try to speak on that as much as I can think to, and hopefully this can help somebody, man. Start the process of overcoming oneself, and understand it's hard to do so for all of us. But it's much harder for those of us who rarely face the intention of doing so. It's much harder for the weaker of us. And I've been that. I've been that for a long time. So that's what I want to say to people, man. I'm almost 40, and I didn't really take care of myself in my young ages. That doesn't mean I can't use what I'm putting together now to do so. And that don't mean you can't start today if you've never done so. I don't care where you're working from, just that you're working toward. And then you see the calendar fold in the direction that you're moving in. Because otherwise, you could stay stagnant and you will still find the calendar moving forward, with your stagnation being what defines what it is that your intentions will be. And that is something that can just further pull you back from being as strong mentally as ultimately you need to be to face what it is you need to face physically in your life. And that's what it's all about. You want to be able to have the stem strong, and then the mind will then push the body to be as strong as it wants to ultimately be, and what it needs to be to face whatever's in your life. So that's what I'm telling everybody, man. Face it. And in facing it, I know that you should applaud yourself for even trying to, because there are a lot of you people, and including your past self, who refuse to. And so you hold pride in when you try, and that's ultimately going to encourage you from within to continue to try again, which is the whole point of all of it. So that's what I'm telling everybody, man. Teach that to your kids, man. We got to get better at approaching life's intentions with our own intentions to be better, and being consistent and repeated repetition is ultimately what's going to get you what you want. So that's what I'll say, man. If you're a basketball player, keep shooting. If you're a baseball player, keep swinging. If you're a mathematician, keep doing it. Put the hours in, put in the work. That's exactly what I was telling myself a few days ago when I was coming home sick, and I was telling you guys I didn't feel good, and I was walking to try to feel better. When I got home, I was telling God, man, I still don't quite have that energy, but I do want to do what it is I've been doing, which is my hundreds. And I heard the words in my head, put in the work. Put in the work. And I was thinking about other things as well that I don't have in order, and parts of my life that I want to see better, and just not being pleased with my progress or where I'm at or whatever it was I was thinking about. And it applied to everything that I was thinking about. Put in the work. If you want to see certain progressions, you're not going to get those progressions by finding yourself wasting time feeling bad about where you're not. You will get nowhere spending your precious time thinking about what you're not doing. You will be much more pleased with what comes with doing than you will with what comes with trying to cope with what hasn't been done. That's what it is. Put in the work. Many a time I sat back on my backside, unhappy about how I looked and how I felt. And all of that time was literally wasted further reinforcing what ultimately was wrong, because it was inactivity that was making me unhappy. If I'd have got up and did some push-ups, got up and jogged a little bit, got up and worked on this, got up and did all that, whatever, I would have gotten solutions for what it is that was making me down. But because I had never forced myself to overcome myself, all I knew how to do was make it worse. All I knew how to do was reinforce within myself the same thing that made it that I was unhappy. You got to know what it takes to get what you want. Or you're not going to have it, and you got to find a way to live with yourself in that space. But understand, that same stem that you use to overcome yourself to be better is the same stem that's going to encourage you not to sit down tomorrow, which is what I've been trying to tell you. It's the same attitude and the purpose, the same mentality that's going to help you get to a space where you're not just sitting back feeling unhappy, that you're working on what it is you want to work on. If you don't face that, you just reinforce more of what causes what you're unhappy with. And so that's really the epiphany of my life. It's to say, all that time I was sitting back unhappy about my body when I was a kid, miserable. Those should have been times where I was getting on the floor attempting 1/2 push-up, and then getting up and stretching as far as I could, even if it was only from to my knees, which is how bad it was for me at one point. And then come back the next day And as soon as I start feeling like I ain't doing it, like I'm unhappy, you work toward what you want to do. You come back and do a push-up and a half. And then stretch further past your knees. You know what I'm saying? And just get that progression going. Don't relent. Don't ask yourself to make yourself turn into some superhuman overnight. It's not going to work like that. You know what I mean? You got to be patient and long suffering with your patience in regards to your progress. That's key to it. 70 days down the road and you done put in all this work, you can't look at yourself and not see exactly what your dream was and then revert back to what ultimately made you weak in the first place because you see no use in doing the work. The work is what's going to get you there. Sitting back is what's going to keep you looking the way you are unhappy with, if it pertains to your body, or if it's money that you need to be working on and building yourself. It's them hours where you sitting back in your room unhappy that you should be putting in and working. You know what I mean? Putting in and getting to it. So these are all the things that ultimately are entailed in what it is I was thinking about. You put in the work, man. Put in the work, put in the repetition, and know that you attempting to will make it so that you're more likely to later on. Because that's really what it's about. You're establishing those habits. You're establishing the strength of STEM. And the idea that the mind is going to progress just like your body will as you continue to force yourself into those spaces that ultimately will get you the progress and the results that you're looking for. So that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. Work is the only way. Work is the only way. BDF 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.